let's start from who you are.
That's the hardest question to answer because I don't know myself who I am. Well, all I can say is that
What's
I
your
am
name?
a carbon organic structure aware of being an organic structure and therefore a sort of knot of relations. Did
If we
I
were to go,
answer the question?
yeah,
Yeah,
from a
okay. I'm
that's the
Marco
most.
Orsatti. I'm 71 years old. I was supposed to be an English teacher. In the meantime, I've been working with different materials in terms of trying to translate the vision I'm every day confronted with.
How did you get here in the first place? Because you were not born
Well,
here, right?
following the grain of things. When I was 20, I was in San Francisco for 1 year and I lived in Project One, which was an alternative center created by the people who refused to be PhD in Berkeley, and they founded two projects. One was One, and the other one was Project Artaud. I'm talking about 1972. I had been living there for more than 1 year when I came back, and I found myself going to Sweden, and then I came back to Italy and I found myself in a situation which was very similar, and the same thing happened here with art. The difference was that there we were in a warehouse. Here we are in the territory and surrounded by a beautiful climate and nature which always inspires you to stay. The piece of art is the village itself. The people who inhabit the village is something more in a way. It's difficult to me to say the word bed and breakfast. I'm not against this sort of urbanization, but why did this happen? Because of commodities, urban commodities, therefore water, 72, and electricity, 77. That changed the picture. That meant that kids, mothers could be around. You see what I mean? And that meant that all standards of living dramatically changed. It meant shops, it meant craft and souvenir art. It meant to be able to be living in the territory. You need a way to earn your life. Because of this, I understand that the houses were taken by people, they were used for bed and breakfast to accommodate people, tourists and whatever. And the focus is no longer on art, even if there are artists. Come on, his name, he gave the fire, Prometeo, the myth of Prometeo. And this is one, because they have a sequence now, you see them without the sequence. That's when the dinosaurs came. This water.
So how many of these are in like the sequence? How many paintings?
There are 20. The village is one of the major points of spontaneous architecture in the world, and it is the result of the culture of the 60s. And we are still here, resilient, in spite of everything, in spite of bed and breakfast, I mean. The village in itself is not standard, it's still beautiful. The ruins are attractive. They still impress you with a sense of wonder and fear, no? Instinctively, the people who survives in the village have this inner drive, even if it doesn't come out in art. The San Francisco scene reflected very closely what was happening here. So much that one of the people of the Artaud project was here. In 1963, the Living Theater performed The Brig in San Francisco, which was the spark for the alternative movement to come into being. And the second one was SDS, Student for Democratic Society, Jerry Rubin and Party Run, the Manifesto Party Run, which was based on civil disobedience by Henry Thoreau Walden. This wave came to Europe. I went to the States and I came back because of this wave. And then I went to Sweden, and the wave was already there, and then from there I came here. And here was the wave, nowhere else in Italy. In Italy, in the rest of Italy, there was a political conflict between left and right, even in violent terms. We are talking about the early 70s, man. Here was the only neutral a sort of time bubble. This is Sapiens. This is very interesting. These are 1,000, take a look here. Demeter, Perseo e Perseo. No? Il mito di Ulisse anche, 1700 BC, the Cretaceous period, and they are actual seals made in terracotta. Just immediately after the maturity exam, I spent 4 months in Venice because I thought I was good at drawings, so I thought, okay, I go to architecture. But there was mathematics, so I left for the States. We crossed from Cincinnati, Ohio, where my brother was there as an AFS student. And there I met a girl, and I left from Cincinnati to San Francisco. It took us a week, basically. Yeah. Tim Ingold is a beautiful anthropologist at the University of Aberdeen, and he says that when it comes to a decision, you have to make a cut. If you take a log, a piece of wood, and you cut it horizontally, then you just apply the criteria of res extensa and res cogitans. You divide nature in matter and mind. You have a plan. You use the wood as matter. Whereas if you follow the grain of things, the grain of the wood, you don't know where you get to. And maybe you go farther than you would have if you had followed your model. This is before Sapiens. This is the first. This is the confinement of a quark. So it's the Big Bang. Is an image you find in the LH Large Hadron Collider in Geneva. This. Art is a way of synthesizing, of building a bridge between two different interpretations. I mean, it can be used in this way for our personal, the advantage of the artist, not of the onlooker. And that's why I make pieces. It's like I'm walking in the forest and I put pieces of bread to show me the way. You see what I mean? In my own depth. This, I made 3 or 4 of these according to the sequence that they were needed. This is about ATP, because ATP creates sugar, glucose. Now, plants can produce their own glucose. We cannot. But women or women mitochondria can turn sugar into ATP. Humans can only create ATP from sugars through mitochondria, and mitochondria belongs to women, not to men. It should be told and written everywhere. Women are the owners of an energy transmitting device which man does not have. Period. Very recently, something on the institutional plane changed. There has been a sentence a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3, by the State Council, which is the top institution, and they recognized our existence. They said that the town hall is supposed to acquire us as a territory in concession, which is going to be dealt with us, and that we must take an active part in the planning of the project of revaluation of the village, which in the past had been already done, but without our contribution. And what does that mean? If the town hall, Sanremo's town hall, doesn't comply, we are allowed to call them, and they will require a commissario ad acta, which means that someone from Rome will come here and take care of the matter. I think that things might be going on the right track for once.
And what about you? Where do you see yourself or your
well,
art
myself,
going?
Me as a carbonic unit to go on against an inevitable entropic curve. That means that I got to walk, breathe, smoke less, so I gotta take care of body first, because that's in the end, that's all we have. I told you, psyche and soma. That soma, body, psyche, mind, but the ability to measure. That's the ability to go along the grain of things. Means that I accept unpredictability as the base of my doings, not the other way around. You see? Ok,
Thank you, Marco.
you're welcome.
That was beautiful.
Ok, ben fatto, mi è piaciuto perché in effetti adesso mi posso anche fumare una sigaretta, ma sai che se fumo una sigaretta mi taglia le gambe, ma come fosse una c***a, ma ti giuro.